Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we talk about 10 horror series that I highly recommend. And with that, let's get to the list.
All I wanted to do was make a movie.
Brand New Cherry Flavor is a 2021 psychological horror series. Created by Nick Antosca and based on the novel of the same name by Todd Grimson. It stars Rosa Salazar, Catherine Keener, and Eric Lang. Lisa Nova, an aspiring filmmaker in the sun-drenched, seedy world of 1990s Los Angeles, embarks on a mind-altering journey of supernatural revenge that gets nightmarishly out of control.
I'm seeing nightmare shit.
Did you ever do a curse on someone?
We don't really do this in our family.
So how's the curse going?
It's a work in progress.
So when putting this list together, I didn't go with what are the best of all time or even necessarily what are my favorites ever, but just 10 of the ones that I think deserve more attention, that don't quite get the buzz they deserve or are actively putting out episodes and are something that more people should be checking out. But Brand New Cherry Flavor is one of my favorites, bar none. As far as psychological horror series go, this is one of the best to ever do it. It's weird, it's colorful, it's creative, it's really bizarre. The cast is fantastic. It is so unique and goes in a lot of different directions and just constantly keeps you guessing and puts you in this weird state of not ever being really comfortable because the things you're seeing just continually get bizarre and keep you, really trying to figure out what exactly is going on. And I think there's a few reasons why this never got the buzz that it deserves. One, it's on Netflix. Netflix doesn't promote the things they do. And even though it got a little bit of a buzz when it first dropped, it's not like there's anybody out there promoting it or pushing it, and so it quickly fades away. It's like the next buzzworthy thing on Netflix, that's where everybody gravitates towards, and everything else just kind of takes a back seat and gets forgotten. Some of the other reasons are it is very weird. It's something that your masses, the average people that watch a lot of the series on Netflix, may not exactly enjoy or appreciate. It's a little bit out there for a lot of those people because it's very weird in an art house, artsy, strange kind of way. And if you've watched this channel for a while, that's some of my favorite stuff to watch. It has this David Lynch kind of flavor a little bit to it. It's got that bizarre, hard to follow at times kind of thing. But I think the biggest reason is the fact that it only got one season because it was never really meant to have multiple seasons. It's a really self-contained kind of one series run, a lot like Mike Flanagan's series. And so because it only has the one season, it didn't get, multiple cracks at getting the buzz going for it. But I think this series is amazing and one that I highly, highly recommend. Monsterland is a 2020 horror anthology series. Created by Mary Laws, it stars Caitlin Dever, Charlie Tohan, and Jonathan Tucker. Encounters with gothic beasts, fallen angels, and werewolves, broken people are driven to desperate acts to repair their lives. Out of all of the different series on this list, this is the one that I think is the most criminally underseen and underappreciated. I have never heard anyone talk about this. No other YouTubers that I've seen, no buzz whatsoever. It's one of those, unfortunately, that just got dropped onto Hulu and very few people saw it. A big part of the reason why it's very gritty, it's very dour and sad at times, depressing in ways. It's not an uplifting, exciting, or fun type of series. But it's extremely well done, well acted. There's a great cast. All these different people that you'll recognize that since 2020 have gone on to do a bunch of other projects, kind of like Caitlin Dever. It also looks great. Each episode is a little different than the other because it is an anthology and each one is kind of its own thing, but there is a bit of a through line. It does all kind of connect in a way by the end. But I don't want to say anything more than that because I don't want to spoil it. But if you enjoy dark and gritty, really uncomfortable at times, thought-provoking types of series, then this is one you definitely need to see.
Nobody sees but me.
Grotesquerie is a 2024 drama horror series. Created by Ryan Murphy, it stars Niecy Nash, Michaela Diamond, and Travis Kelce. A detective and nun investigate a series of heinous crimes while grappling with personal issues and uncovering a sinister web that raises more questions than answers. This series is so good. It's so weird. It is hard to follow at times and feels like it's not making any sense. It takes a few dramatic twists, where it just basically becomes a completely different series for a stretch of time, and it makes you just confused as hell. You're just like, what is going on here? And I kind of wonder if this didn't get more buzz because maybe a lot of people didn't finish the series. Because if you hang in there, it is well worth it, and it definitely explains everything, and you eventually reach a point where you get clarity and you do understand what exactly happens. It was also made by Ryan Murphy, and so a lot of people, I think, watch this expecting to see an American Horror Story kind of thing, and this is kind of different. It has a more grit to it. It's more gritty and uncomfortable and deals with things that are not necessarily as fun as a lot of American Horror Story stuff. It reminded me a little more of Ratched over on Netflix, that series, which is another one I really liked, because sometimes I feel like American Horror Story is a little bit like fast food horror TV. It's a little bit, network filling. It isn't quite as dark and gritty and disturbing as some of the stuff I enjoy, but this is much more in that line. It's much more dark, much more twisted and bizarre. So I think if you have yet to check this one out, it's definitely worth giving a look. The Strain is a 2014 horror series created by Guillermo del Toro. It stars Kevin Durand, Corey Stoll, and David Bradley. A mysterious viral outbreak with hallmarks of an ancient and evil strain of vampirism ravages the city of New York.
I fear no one.
This series is so badass, and I don't hear it talked about a lot anymore. And I get it. It's old, it's over 10 years old at this point, which blows me away because it doesn't feel like it's been that long since the series came out. But it had multiple seasons, and every single one of them was really good, riveting TV. It's gritty, it's gory, it's brutal. It has fantastic characters that kick a lot of ass. It also is one of my favorite things in the vampire world because it does it as good as almost anything out there. The lore, the legend, the style, the way it shows vampires, and the whole breakdown and the rules that this universe is set up in are really fun because it treats it as like an actual virus outbreak type of thing while still being very vampire gory. Vampires are scary, all of that. And being that it was created by Guillermo del Toro, it looks fantastic. I mean, the style of it, the special effects, the different creature designs, it's all there and a lot of fun. So if it's been a while or if you've never seen this, I think you definitely need to put it on your list.
This is our family story.
Lovecraft Country is a 2020 horror drama series. Produced by Jordan Peele and created by Misha Green, it stars Jonathan Majors, Journey Smollett, and Wunmi Musaku. A young African-American man travels across the U.S. in the 1950s in search of his missing father.
It's dangerous.
Here's another one that I think is a victim to when it came out. It came out in 2020, and there was all this racial tension going on, and the pandemic, and just all of the things, and the last thing that anybody really wanted to see was something that was gonna remind you of the real world. We all wanted to escape. I get it. but damn is this series good and really deserved a second season. Unfortunately, it just didn't get the views, and so it never got another season. But with that being said, it isn't one of those series that has a cliffhanger at the end or leaves you having to have another season to feel complete. Like, it does a really good job of still being self-contained. It's one of those that at any point you could pick up and make another season, but it's also contained enough in this story arc that you do feel satisfied by the end, especially if you go in knowing that this is the only season you're going to get. And I just saw the new movie Sinners yesterday, and man, that movie's good. I did a review of it, so definitely go check that out. But one of the highlights of that movie was Wunmi Mosaku. She is fantastic in it, but she is just great in everything she's in. And in this series, she shines. She is really likable, really fun to see, but everybody in this, Jonathan Majors, Journey Smollett, like, they're all fantastic, well-rounded, interesting characters. And yes, it does deal with some really heavy issues, racial issues, things to do with segregation and stuff that was going on in the 1950s. But it's also very fun and adventurous. It feels in a lot of ways kind of like an Indiana Jones type of thing. There's all these different wild places they go, and each episode has almost like an X-Files feel where it's like a weird creature of the week element to each one, while still each episode feeling very connected to the entire world and story that's going on. But if you're a fan of Lovecraftian, cosmic horror, stuff that is about the sense of the unknown and the fear of what we can't understand and all that, then I think this series would be right up your alley. It's well shot, well directed, it looks amazing, it's just a fantastic movie on every level, and one that I think for any fan of horror is a must-see.
It needs to be solved.
Altered Carbon is a 2018 sci-fi thriller series created by Lita Kalogaritis. It's based on the Richard K. Morgan 2002 novel of the same name and stars Joel Kinnaman and Anthony Mackie. Set in the future where consciousness is digitized and stored, a prisoner returns to life in a new body and must solve a mind-bending murder to win his freedom.
Mr. Kovacs.
I didn't ask you to bring me back into this world.
All I ask of you is that you solve a murder.
So out of all of the series on here, this is the one that's the least horror. So keep that in mind. I'm not saying this is a very horror type of series. It's much more of a cyberpunk mystery thriller than it is horror. But I think most fans of horror would still dig this. And I wanted to put it here because I'm not going to do an entire list of just cyberpunk kind of movies. That's not really what I talk about, but I think there's enough horror elements here and weird and twisted things in this that it would still be fun, like I said, for most fans of horror. And this is honestly one of my favorite series from the last 20 years. Unfortunately, it only got 2 seasons, but I love both of them. Season 1 with Joel Kinnaman playing the main character, and then in season 2, the same character, but it was played by Anthony Mackie, and they both do a phenomenal job in it. There's just such a creative, interesting world here that looks fantastic, and yet it feels like a future that could actually exist. Like, everything feels grounded. It does have a very futuristic feel, but it all feels like things that could actually be the case at some point. Because we see so many different sci-fi movies and series over the years, and a lot of them deal with, you know, your consciousness being digitized and all that. But the way this handles it, it feels like something that is really close to the technology and things that we're at right now, and that maybe in the near future, this could actually be a reality. It's also a very stylish and sexy world that's created here. The visuals, the costume design, the characters, the cast, everything just has this style just dripping from it. I also really love that it has this neo-noir gumshoe detective mystery element and feel. So it's like futuristic, but yet it has that Blade Runner kind of feel about it too. So I just think this series is so much fun. And if you have yet to see it, do yourself a favor and check it out.
What do you want?
Channel Zero is a 2016 horror anthology series. Created by Nick Antosca, who served as writer, showrunner, and producer. It stars John Carroll Lynch, Paul Schneider, Amy Forsyth, and Olivia Liccardi. Each of the 4 seasons is based on popular online creepypasta stories, including Candle Cove, The No End House, Butcher's Block, and The Dream Door.
I love you, Mark. And I'm here for you.
Over the last couple years, I've gotten more and more interested in online horror stories like creepypastas. But unfortunately, I struggle at reading for various reasons. But not too long ago, I discovered a podcast called Creepcast, and they read these online horror stories. And so it's been really fun to delve into these different stories. But this series is so good, and I hadn't even read the different stories before discovering this series. So this was kind of my introduction to creepypastas and things like that. And each one of these seasons does such a great job because creepypastas are usually pretty short in their length. There's not a ton to them. They're just these little short stories, but the concepts are there. And this series did a great job of expanding out these little stories and adding, layers to them and making it into something that could be a full season. But each one is very imaginative and creative. The visuals are fantastic. And it was created by Nick Antosca. So, I talked about him a little bit ago when I was talking about Brand New Cherry Flavor, because that's a series that he created there. And this has a lot of that same element of horror that I really enjoy. The grittiness, the dark quality, the visuals, all of that is in this series as well. So I recommend you check this series out, but definitely go and read the online short stories of each one of these seasons too, because it's fun to see the inspiration and where that all began, as well as check out Creepcast. It's a pretty big podcast, so I'm sure a lot of you have already heard of it at this point, but if you haven't and you enjoy podcasts, I think it's a really great one. The Midnight Club is a 2022 mystery horror series. Created by Mike Flanagan, it stars Ruth Codd, Samantha Sloyland, and Heather Langenkamp. At a hospice for terminally ill young adults, 8 patients come together every night at midnight to tell each other creepy stories.
You guys sneak into the library every night and
Make ghosts.
Tell stories.
Make ghosts sounds better.
So out of all of the different Mike Flanagan projects, this one I feel like has gotten the least amount of buzz. Part of it is he didn't write and direct this like he did a lot of his other series, and so it didn't quite get that buzz that a lot of his do. On top of that, this one is very sad. It's hard to watch, I think, for a lot of people because you're watching these kids basically that are dying of diseases, and it's so tragic and so sad, but it is so well performed. It's so good. It's very creepy, and it has a really cool and interesting way of being kind of like an anthology where each episode feels different and has these different things going on, but still being all connected and being one complete story arc from beginning to end. It's also really surprising and takes some crazy twist along the way, but it is extremely sad. I mean, I would be surprised if you have dry eyes by the end of this, but it's more of an emotionally moving movie than it is depressing. And I think on the surface, if you don't watch the whole series, it feels like, oh, this is going to be depressing. But it's not. And this young cast, I was so impressed by. There is no doubt in my mind they're all going to be, names that we recognize in the near future in different projects, because they all have to give such layered performances with a range of emotions. And it gets creepy. It gets spooky. There's definitely a lot of uncomfortable and flat out scary moments in this as well. So I think it's an incredibly well written, well told story that deserves a lot more attention than it gets, and it's definitely worth your time.
These people home, Sheriff? Do everything I can. Promise me.
From is a 2022 sci-fi horror series. Created by John Griffin, it stars Harold Perrineau, Hannah Cherami, and Eon Bailey. The story unravels the mystery of a city in the middle of the US that imprisons everyone who enters.
Everyone in this town has been exactly where you are right now. Everyone sees the tree. Those crows.
We'll just get out of here, please.
We are stuck.
This show is so damn good. I think for a straight up horror series that is currently going, this is the best one right now. I mean, granted, there are definitely a few other ones, but they're not all exactly pure horror. This feels much more like a pure horror series. Yeah, there's sci-fi elements to it as well, but this one gets creepy. This one gets scary with some absolutely terrifying visuals and moments, and it's really well performed by the cast. Everyone involved is fantastic. But the mood, the atmosphere, the lighting, just the way this show looks is what is the big thing for me. It's what blows me away every time I watch it. It's also really layered and interesting in the way this story unfolds and the different directions that it takes. And so even though I know this show has definitely gotten some hype, I still think anybody out there that hasn't seen this is one you definitely need to be watching. Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities is a 2022 horror anthology series, directed by various filmmakers including David Pryor, Keith Thomas, Panos Cosmatos, Jennifer Kent, and others, with episodes starring Andrew Lincoln, Rupert Grint, and Crispin Glover. Bizarre nightmares unfold in 8 tales of terror in a visually stunning, spine-tingling horror collection curated by Guillermo del Toro.
Do you like to see my paintings? Please, show me mercy.
This is such a fun way of doing something like this because each episode, so to speak, is a totally different filmmaker and has its own style, its own flavor, and they're all up-and-coming filmmakers that have done some really fantastic horror movies in the last 10 years. But each one of them is introduced by Guillermo del Toro in kind of a Twilight Zone way, and it's really fun. And that's just such a fun format of doing something like this because you're introducing the world to these different young filmmakers, and it's such an interesting way of kind of putting together a collection of all these movies. And they basically are movies. They're about an hour long each, but because each one of them is around an hour, it's an easy watch. It's a fun series to kind of put on one each night and, you know, little by little work your way through it. But some of them are definitely better than others, but some of them are absolutely amazing. It really, in a lot of ways, is kind of like Masters of Horror from back in the day. It's that kind of format. And if you are someone that enjoyed that, I think you'll really enjoy this too. But I had such a great time with this, and I think it's a perfect pick for this Saturday night. So do yourself a favor this weekend, pick one of the series off of this list, grab your popcorn and your candy, and enjoy! And I want to give a huge, massive, enormous thank you to the Ghost Pirate crew, to you guys over on Patreon, and to the channel members over here. You guys mean so much to me. And if you would like to help support this channel over on Patreon, there's a link down in the description, or you can become a channel member by going to the join button down there and help support the channel that way. But like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button, and remember guys, horror can be fun. And if you enjoyed this, click right here to watch me talk about 10 movies that I think you'll definitely enjoy. And I'll see you guys next time.